It's a rainy day today, and it's as difficult as, ever to do these classes anymore. But I want to thank you for coming, and hopefully we learn something together. A lot of this is for newer agents, but hey, you may learn something you didn't know before. So we're going to be a little detailed, a little, in this system, so we can learn as much as possible. And one of the ways to get into ShowingTime on your computer is to go through Coastal Carolina. So that's one of the things that, or the systems that Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors give us for free, right? You also should have it on your phone. Do you guys have it on your phones?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, very good. We'll go through that a little bit too. Because a lot of times you're gonna be working on your phone more than anything else. All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about is a little overview. Can you guys see the computer? I know this thing is in the middle and I have no idea how to. Can you see it, the screen? Okay, all right. So the first thing you wanna do when you come in here, you wanna make sure that you're in the home page and you wanna go through your profile. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You wanna make sure your phone number is your cell phone number, and you wanna make sure that's the correct cell phone number. Make sure that your email is correct. This is where if you get a new email, this is where you put it in here for your email notifications.
I'm trying to go back to where you are. Okay.
Okay. So again, if we go here to log into CCAR, okay, that second box in the middle on the left-hand side,
right, ShowingTime.
Yeah, you click on that, and it should open up for you already.
It does. Mine looks a little different than yours, but
let me see.
Just slightly. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you want to click on Edit Profile.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You just want to make sure all your information here is correct, right? Your ID. This is how you log into Paragon, right?
Okay.
Your office number, you want to make sure your office number is where you're registered. So I'm registered here in this office at Myrtle Beach. So this would be the phone number for it, and this would be the fax number for it. Okay, this shows you the licenses that you have. I have a group, so I have kind of like 2 licenses in one. Over here now, these are the most important ones. So now you can set up your all your ShowingTime as a listing agent, then as a buyer's agent for the default things. So the first one here, we just go through it, and the first one says allow agents to request appointments online. Generally, on default, I would say yes. Now, if you have a showing that is, you got tenants, or you don't have a code and you have to be there, the sellers are, adamant about you being there, for example, then you can do that through phone or text message and kind of do it that way. But 9 times out of 10, it is so much easier to have it done this way. And you can have certain things that you can change in the system for yourself. So over here it says allow agents to request virtual appointments. I would always say both, in person and virtual. There's nothing wrong with that. We've had so many agents, and I sold so many by just showing them on the phone. You show the people the house on the phone, they make an offer on it. Have you guys had that happen before? Yeah. Pretty nice, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I sold probably 6 houses
that way.
last year.
Fantastic. So yeah, you want to be able to allow other agents. So this part here is you as a listing agent. Okay, what options do I want as a listing agent? Next here is the default setting for new listings. So whenever you have a new listing, do you want it to require an appointment, or do you want agents to just go? Okay, now even if, and this is my advice, you guys do what you like, but even if it is not occupied, I would always try to make it, to have them request the appointment online and then confirm. That way you have the agent's information, the seller has the agent's information, you know who's been in that property, right? So you have record of it. So for things like that, I would do go and show right here. And this means that as soon as you schedule it online, it'll approve it. Now, one thing with oceanfront units, when you have a listing there, they're all on a rental program. And you never know if it's rented or not. The listing agent you can't, right? You can't call every time there's a showing to find out. So what you gotta do as a buyer agent when you see something like that is call that management company or just show up to the front desk and say, hey, can I see this one or another one in the same stack? That would at least help. But you can't really control because you might get there and they just got it rented. Usually the sellers are not gonna block the unit for you. They still wanna make money, especially in, summer season. Here is view instructions only, meaning I will not approve the appointment until, you see these instructions and you make sure there's a cat, don't let her out, or, there's, a sick person at home, just make sure that you do 1, 2, 3 for you to be able to show the property. The next one is overlapping appointments. Do you guys know what that is?
You can make an appointment by same time.
Yeah. So say for example, I wanted to show my people a 3-bedroom, 2-bath down the street, and it says, this listing allows overlapping appointments, meaning that if I get there, I might see other agents with their people as well. So just be courteous, let them finish their, their tour, go in after, or you can ask them, hey, can we go in at the same time? Sometimes you may not want to do that. So as a listing agent, you would ask your client. Sometimes the client would be, would have something at home, like when we had COVID, right? They would say only virtual appointments, only one person to walk in, right? So you have to be kind of courteous to their needs, especially if there is someone sick at home. So this usually I have it as yes. And see here also, sometimes they might not show you because the listing agent may say yes and no need to inform the buyer agent or the showing agent. So that could also be something that you want to kind of make sure of, okay? It happened a few times where I went to show a property and there was someone there and I had no idea. And I thought, well, no, that's our appointment. But they don't have to tell you that there's someone there. They don't have to tell you there's an overlapping appointment, although it would be really nice to tell that other agent that there is a possibility. There's nothing wrong with that. Make sure when you do any changes that you click that green button up there, because if you don't, it's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. That's probably what happened here. And you can also let the system allow up to a certain number of appointments, especially right now when you have so many homes on the market, and people want to see it all day long, right? You may want to limit it to 3 showings at the same time or only 2 showings at the same time, right? Now, I don't have a limit. I've never had one where I had an issue with that, but then again, you just never know. If you have a property that is maybe Carolina Forest, really, really hot property, and you know that you're gonna have a lot of people wanting to see it, then maybe you want to limit that to 2 or 3 at the same time. Buffer time between appointments. You can have a buffer between appointments. That would work really well if you have a family or if the sellers do occupy the property, They might tell you, listen, I have to have at least an hour before appointments. I can't do this, right? So you go in here and you do a little limitation thing, and then when the buyer agent goes in, that will be blocked. So there will be no way for them to make that appointment. They may if you call them, but usually it'll be just blocked and you'll have to go for the next time. So let's just say I have no buffer time.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a buffer time, you wouldn't be able to allow them to overlap, would you?
If you have it at the same time, say for example, you and I happen to schedule, 203 Sea Turtle Avenue at 3 o'clock. It'll confirm for both of us. But then when you come in and say, I want a 3:15, it won't let you. It'll let you for 3:30 if there was a 15-minute,
Okay.
overlap. Mm-hmm.
What is the
Or
push?
buffer time.
What is the push on notifications?
Notifications, oh, that will be an Annie question. This, I think what it is that you see these notifications that just come up here.
Right.
They're not a text message. They're
They're just notifications.
Yeah. So I believe that's what that is. I don't like them because they don't alert me. I have to have my phone ring, buzz, scream.
Exactly.
So I have it as a text message. That's the easiest thing for me.
Okay.
Now, when I first started, it was defaulted at email, text message, push, and showing voice. So what happened? I was getting a text message, I was getting a call, I was getting an email, right? All at the same time. So my phone would blow up just because of one showing, notification. So make sure you have this to where you're comfortable with it. I don't want it to spam my email. I don't want to push notification, and I definitely do not want it to call me all day long.
So the push is basically if I open my phone like this and there's a push. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be that.
Okay.
Is that right? Is that yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
If I ever have a push notification, it's yeah. So I have it as text message because that's the only way I can make sure that I'm gonna see it. When appointments are requested and when they are confirmed. Now, you don't have to, but if you're a listing agent, I would want to make sure I, see all the ones that have been requested and I actually answer to them. And when you are a listing agent, especially in our time now, it's hard. It gets really, really difficult because you get, 20 to 30, showing requests. You get people calling you, asking you questions. A lot of people would be driving, they don't have access to MLS, so they want to ask you questions that you've already answered, things like that. So just make sure everything is in default so that it'll be at least a little easier on you. Next thing here is notifications for,
So you don't want to have the email.
I don't, but you can. So basically, here's what happens. If you do email and text message every time someone, like if I request an appointment at 3 o'clock, you're gonna get it as a text message on your phone, then you're also gonna get it on your email. Then you're also gonna get the feedback request on your email. Then you're gonna get the confirmation email. Some people like it, so you don't miss anything. For me, no. For me, I have my phone all the time with me. It doesn't leave my side, so I'm happy with just a text message. But it is whatever you like. Where were we? Notification for appointments on my listing. So we did that. We made sure that's there. Access information. Enable secure access. This one here, I think I'm not sure what this is. I've always had it as no, and I've never touched it after
It's
that.
like on zip forms when it tells you if you want to secure, like any platform, so
To
you
use
have
the
a
app?
PIN code or something to enter.
Okay. So if you wanted the PIN code to ShowingTime app on your phone,
No, it's secured to this show, like limited to what's yours. So no one else can go in, but you or anybody that has that secure code or question, whichever system they have there to secure it.
for Supra.
Like for example, remember when like on zip forms where you go in and it says like, do you just want to send it to your client or do you want to send it a secure message to your client? And when you do that, then it asks you, okay, what is the password? And then you give your client your password so that they could sign in.
Okay, so I've never used it and we've never had a problem with it. I would say, if you use Supra keys, right, then there's no worry because that agent is the only person that's gonna open the door. When it comes to codes, the thing is, once you have the code as the buyer agent, you can walk in there anytime. Once that inspector has the code, they can walk in there anytime. Now, 9 times out of 10, they're too busy to do anything, but you just never know. So I like the Super Box key because it's secure. You know exactly when someone came in, exactly when someone left. It automatically sends the request for feedback, and you have control, and your seller has control. The next one here is feedback request, what we just were talking about. So as a listing agent, do I want to request feedback? Yes. Now I'll tell you this. As a listing agent, I also don't expect someone to leave me a feedback within 5 minutes, not even within 24 hours. And sometimes, you know, it's okay that you don't leave a feedback. We're all busy. Sometimes we have 5 to 10 to 20 appointments a day. Understandable. And if you liked it, right, you would have told me already. But at the same time, you want to follow up with them. Text message that agent, say, hey, did you guys like it? Do you have any questions? And people like that because it's a personal touch. And they can give you that feedback on text. Now, sometimes you have sellers that are a little more difficult than that. And, and they want to know exactly what every buyer said. Just copy them and let that buyer agent know that, hey, any feedback would be copied to the seller as well, just in case. We always try to be as professional as possible and as filtered as possible, but always kind of think that, hey, this is not just going to the agent, this is also going to the seller. So
How do you do that through ShowingTime?
for the seller to receive it, we'll get there.
Okay,
In a little bit, yeah,
okay.
we'll get there. All right, so we did that. Now, how many times do I want to send the feedback request? I usually do twice. So I ask those agents twice. They get it by email usually. And number of days between resend, you can do like 1 day, you can do 2 days, 3 days. I usually want to do it quickly because, you know, if you're working with even 3 or 4 buyers, you're showing a lot of property. You've already forgot what you showed yesterday morning. You have no clue what that looked like, right? So now you gotta go back to Paragon, kind of look at the pictures and try to remember what that looked like, right? And what did they say about it? So I try to do like 1 day, that's enough. And then if you're on the listing side, like I said, just text them, say, hey, do you need anything? I'm right here. Do you have any questions? Just let me know, and just let me know what they think of it. You know, if they didn't like it, no problem, that's okay. Thank you for showing, and move along. Now, this one here is for offers. I have never used it, to be honest, but you can go on your phone and basically let the listing agent know that an offer is coming or that an offer was sent, okay? And then when you receive an offer through that, it'll email you and let you know. I have never had an agent do it through ShowingTime. Have you? Anybody? I have never had it done. You've done it 7 years now? Where the buyer agent would tell you that they've submitted an offer through ShowingTime?
No, never.
Yeah. So. Now here is your portion as a buyer agent. So again, you want to make sure that your information here is right. If you have a team, if you're working with somebody and they're taking care of, you know, the buyer agent side and all that, then you can have their information in here. Just make sure that it's the correct one. And then here is your notifications as the buyer agent. So for me, for example, and I had to change this over and over, you know, to get to like a happy middle where I'm not getting so many notifications. But when appointment requests are received, I don't. I already get them in a text message if I'm the listing agent. But there's no need for me, if I'm requesting an appointment, I know I requested it, right? And if you have ever requested an appointment, you guys have the app on your phone. If you go on the app, and you can open your phone here and look with me as soon as I get out of this.
Let me set it up.
Oh, you have it?
Okay. So ShowingTime app, okay.
So ShowingTime app, if you click on the 3 lines up on the left, top left,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a drop down, and you can go to the 1, 2, 3, 4th option, says I have requested. And in here, it'll show you everything that you've requested for today and the future, or also the past. Does anyone see that? Let me know, I can come to you and show you.
Well, I got it, but nothing shows. I know I've requested appointments.
Let me see. Have you requested something for today?
No, that's been, I've requested many appointments. That's not a problem. I don't know if I got it right.
What if you unclick that, show confirmed? If you unclick that, does anything show up?
Well, it hasn't, I haven't been able to use it correctly because I'm not, maybe this is the reason, maybe I gotta uninstall it and reinstall it.
Well, you know what? Why don't you stay after class and we'll go over it, we'll make sure.
I'm in trouble.
No. We'll go over the,
You're gonna talk to the principal.
yeah, there you go, there you go. Yeah. Do you guys see it though? Everybody else sees it?
I don't have the ShowingTime app.
You don't have it? Let's download it. That's gonna be crucial for you as an agent, so you wanna have it. Here is what it looks like. So you wanna go on your app store. And just a tip for you guys, I don't know if you have like an iPhone or Android, but I have all my real estate apps in one little folder
Right, I do too.
on the front page, because otherwise it'll take me forever. Just like in my computer, I have a folder for real estate, and then each one would say active, sold, and then listings, buyers, and then everything is, you know, sectioned with addresses. So you guys want to go through it, you want to look and see what, you know, what you would prefer. But like I said, this one here is for you as the buyer's agent. What notifications do I get as a buyer's agent? You want to make sure you get notifications for confirmed or canceled appointments. It would be good to know before you show there and can't see it.
Most definitely.
And if you like the push notifications, great. If you like the call, great. Whichever one you want. Also, if I'm showing a property and the price has changed, right? I want to know. And the only way to know is by email. So now I know if I ever get an email from ShowingTime, it's probably feedback request or an email about a price change. So.
I have a very dumb question. Well, I shouldn't say
It's not.
dumb. I don't like using negative terms. I speak in the affirmative. At some point, I'll probably ask you how I can change my photo.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great question. So up here, if you don't have a picture yet, I should probably change mine, that was old. But you have a way to just hover on that, and you can either delete it,
Okay.
or you can click over here. Oh, okay, and it takes you directly to, you know, choose where you want, you know, where your
okay.
picture is, and choose that, and it'll do it real quick.
Awesome.
Any other questions for me? No? All right, where are we? For registration. We did that, right? This one here, same thing. I have never used it. I have never sent a notification through ShowingTime that I sent an offer. I just don't. So I have not tried this. If you do try it, please let me know. Next one here is ShowingTime notifications when showing are assigned to me. So when you're in a group, right, there could be showings that, you know, your team member, for example, or another agent will assign to you. You can actually send a copy of your showing to another agent as well. If you've already, you know, had it confirmed and you don't want to change all that, you don't want to mess with it, you just let the listing agent know, say, hey, my team, a member, so-and-so is going to show it instead of me. And that way there's nothing like that.
Can you go back a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. One thing I would say about showings, and this is something I try to use religiously, is when there's something to do about a showing, I would text through ShowingTime. And the reason why is everything stays on record. Oh, you didn't tell me this. Yes, I did. You didn't confirm this. Yes, I did. I told you to go. I didn't confirm it, but I gave you the code, right? So it's really, really good to use that. That way everything is clean and clear. And if you don't remember what kind of happened or what you need to do, you can go and look it up.
Well, where do you look those up? Because I've gotten text messages through ShowingTime.
Through ShowingTime?
And I didn't realize they were coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And it just dawned on me like 30 days ago. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
All right, so let's see here. So if you go to your app, for example,
Okay.
all right, and you go and schedule a showing. Up top on the right-hand side, do you see something that looks like a message? You can click on
Okay,
that.
so it's there's a message, what you call it?
It's a thread of all the messages that you've
Right.
had.
Well,
They sent you. You almost kind of have to remember what address it is and go into it and look it up.
Alissa, going back to your notifications,
Mm-hmm.
the call option, I guess that's when ShowingTime calls and says, this is ShowingTime.
Mm-hmm.
I have a request for Kimberly Lewis to see blank, 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 blank
Yes.
on this date.
Yes.
Believe it or not, that option works for me sometimes because when I'm putting in a request, let's say that you have a property that I'd like to see,
Right.
and you haven't had an opportunity to update it because you have just been so busy and you've already written the contract on it, it's already pending, but it's still showing active in in Paragon, right? Okay, so then ShowingTime will call me, and because I'm thinking, oh, it's active, she's going to approve it. That call will come in and say, your request for blank, blank, blank has been denied or has been declined.
Okay.
And it also, I think it also says something like reason not explained. I forgot how it does it.
Yes.
But I find that to be very helpful because a lot of the agents
do that.
are
now,
so busy, they're not.
Yeah. And now I get that on text message as well.
Yeah.
Depending on, and I'll show you guys on the app or on the computer, but you're 9 times out of 10 you're going to be using your phone.
Right.
If you want to cancel an appointment, you have to tell them why. So you have to choose one of the options. Now, it doesn't mean that it is the option. If you're the listing agent, you might want to call and investigate more, because a lot of times that agent is driving, click anything, I just want to let you know quickly that we're not going to be there, and just keep going to the
And
next one.
9 times out of 10, they don't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, you have to fish.
I hate that.
You have to fish. So.
Yeah, I hate that. Because I've asked a few agents, like, how is the show? And we never showed up. I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, we have tenants. And the tenants have kids and dogs and But anyhow, so just try as much as possible. Try. I've done it before.
Thank you.
I've forgotten before, or something happened, didn't let the other agent know. Call them later and let them know. What else here? Feedback requests. I always want it as an email. I don't want it as a push notification. Now you can have both. You can definitely have both. Just make sure that whenever you do any changes, you see that up top? You have to click Save Changes, because if you don't, it's going to stay the same. It's not going to change. multi-unit per unit notification when units are confirmed or canceled. Some buildings, I don't see it anymore. I don't know if that was an old thing or not. And maybe you can correct me. With multi-units, you may have A, B, and C. It would be like a triplex or a duplex or whatever. And you can list them as one, but you can also list them as separate. You know, if the seller wants to sell them separately, they can. Especially if there is a parcel number for each one of them, then you can definitely do that. It's easy. So it just depends how it's listed, and then you want to let the other agent know that, hey, I want A, I don't want to see B, or what have you. But nowadays they list them to where you don't need to do that. I don't know if I've ever needed to use that. So basically, when you schedule the appointment, there's only one MLS number, or if it's listed separately, you are gonna make, you know, separate appointments for these two MLS numbers. And you gotta make sure that they're both confirmed or not. Does that make sense?
Yes.
For you as a buyer's agent, so you can control this, right? You can also control it per each appointment. When you are scheduling, what you want your default to be. Do you want it to be a 30-minute? Do you want it to be an hour, 40-minute, 15 minutes? I would advise you never to make it a 15 minutes, because you might be 5 minutes late. Your clients might want to look outside, inside, open every closet door and fridge and everything else, and stand there for about a half an hour because they got questions. And now you're so over time, and these people are sitting in their neighbor's, you know, parking lot with their kids and dogs. So just make sure. What I do, if I can, is I would do it for a half-hour increments every 15 minutes. So 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 3:15 to 4:15, and so on. And that way, even if I'm 5-10 minutes late, you just, you know, and you as a listing agent also need to understand and explain to your client, you know, Mr. Seller, if you get an appointment request between 3 and 4 o'clock, it doesn't mean they're gonna be here at 3. It means they have to be in and out between 3 and 4 o'clock. Does that make sense? Good. And your app, if you've used it, it's, I think it started last year. I don't know if it did that before, but it would ask you, are you done showing? Are you done showing?
Yeah.
And so you can click it and let them know, yes, I'm done showing. That would be nice, especially if it's occupied. So for me, for example, I would print out a sheet and I would write on it, occupied, not occupied, right? And I would make sure that the ones that are occupied are scheduled first
Right.
or last, but I would make sure that I, you know, okay, this is occupied, and I let them know, hey, we have, you know, time limits. This is the agent's phone number. I'm texting them, hey, we're 10 minutes late, you know, something like that, as much as possible. Okay, now the Supra key, Supra access. Sentry lock, that one was the old MLS. Some agents still use it. Have you ever used it? I think I and when I first started, the agent that I had some work with had it. And it's kind of the same thing, but it goes over a code. So basically you can still schedule through ShowingTime. It'll give you a code and it'll say Sentry Lock code. And when you get there, you put in the code and it opens and gives you the key. So our MLS boxes, they don't have a code. You just have to have your app. This one has a code. And Charleston does the same. If any of you wants to work in Charleston, same exact thing. They don't have the lockbox, they have the Sentry box. I think that's what they call it still, but it's the same exact thing. You use ShowingTime, it confirms it, and once it confirms it, it gives you the code, and then you can go in, put that in, and it'll open for you. And this is basically saying, can I? So this should be a yes. And do we have a hotkey? I don't have a hotkey. Never had to use it. A lot of, most of the HUD ones had an MLS box, as far as I can remember. Do you have any experience with that? The hotkey is?
Just just super in combination.
Yeah, just super and combination. Okay. So here we have buyer agents, offer references. Again, this one I have never used it for offers. I would call, I would text, I would email. I want to know exactly that you have at least received it, and when do you think you can answer me? Or when do you think you can talk to your sellers about this offer? New message notification, like I said, I always want to see it in text because that's how I look at my phone. A lot of times if I'm on the phone, I can't answer it, and now I've lost you, right? So this, at least I have it. I don't do all hours of the day, and I hope when you guys are like on the buyer side or seller side, but this is probably going to be buyer more than anything, that you don't call after a certain, time. If it's something really, really important, I'd email. If the house is on fire, they should be calling 911, not you, right? So there's not really an emergency. When I first started, everything was an emergency. An offer was an emergency. Oh, they haven't confirmed my appointment. Oh my God, it's the end of the world, right? But it's not. And a lot of times if people are not answering you, it's because it's under contract and they're too busy trying to weed out through all the, offers that they have, unfortunately. So be patient, and I usually, I don't even know why this has 10 p.m. in here. It should be 8 p.m. because that's when Supra keys stop working. So even if you try to schedule anything after 8 p.m., it's not gonna work. You're not gonna have access. So anyhow, they should change that. You wanna make sure that any notifications from the app go to the correct email. Okay, so when I switched my emails a few months ago, I forgot to do this, and guess what? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people were not very happy. So just make sure that's in there. Every once in a while, you go in there, you check, say, okay, my email is correct. At least you check it. Mm-hmm. If you get it, you're good. And here's all the devices that I have or had connected to this app. So if you're savvy and you know which one is which, you can go in here and say, well, I don't use this anymore. I sold this phone. I don't use that anymore, and you can remove them. Okay. But a lot of times if you sell it, you reset your phone, so it shouldn't have that. Download key service, you don't need that. Okay. And here also, just so you know, you have your last modification date. So say for example, you see a date here that was yesterday and you weren't on ShowingTime yesterday. So you're gonna call ShowingTime, find out what happened, if someone had access to it somehow. That doesn't happen unless someone stole your phone, stole your computer or iPad or something like this. So just as a security, you might wanna look at it. The next thing here is the calendar sync, right? Oh, well, haven't even gotten there yet. Okay, so you can sync your calendar. I don't have it synced because I don't use the Google Calendar. I don't use the Outlook calendar. But if you do, this is my calendar right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it. Because I write down, and that kind of helps my memory, right? And I look at it, I don't know, 20 times a day. And everything here, all my notes, everything is in here. But you can, if you're used to your phone, you're used to your calendar and everything, and you share that calendar maybe with your spouse or someone that, is gonna care and look, and, just in case something happens, they will know where you are. For teams, it's really good. So my agents are synced to the calendar. We kind of know where they are 9 times out of 10. But you can click on the sync and it'll tell you, it'll ask you, do you want to sync all your appointments, the showing and the listing, or just the showing? You can choose what you want, but I'd say if you want to go through your calendar, just have everything in there so that you don't get it confused. You wanna know about the unconfirmed appointments, you wanna know about the canceled. I usually wanna keep record of that. So I wanna know like, okay, I had this agent and we've had, I don't know how many canceled appointments, but let's find out why that's happening. Also, do you want the calendar to display the older appointments? Say for example, you're setting it up today, but you want your calendar to have everything that you've had in the last year, or a month, or 2 weeks. So you also can keep track of, here's where I've been, here's how much in mileage, or how many miles I've traveled, or what have you, everything is recorded. That's really good for that. And then, once you got all this set up, you would click on Create Calendar Sync. Oh, I guess I forgot something. Let's say 1 year. And see, it gives you a little link, and you can click on Sync Now, and it'll sync it for you. Now, I don't wanna sync it because that'll drive it crazy, but you can have that done. So you can sync your calendar, everything will be on there. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. The next one is Mass Add Listing Note. So this one here is when you're the listing agent and you want an automatic message on all your listings, right? So say for example, I don't know if you've noticed, seller prefers, you get pre-approved through this lender, for example, right? Or please leave feedback, seller will receive a copy of it. If that's on automatic for you, you might wanna let the agent know so they don't, read anything weird in there. So you can set it up. For me, for example, I don't. Whenever I enter a listing, I go case by case scenario, put my own notes and everything else. But you can definitely use that. It doesn't hurt to say appointment required, because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be required. I wouldn't do the other two unless all my appointments are just instructions or go and show. Because you don't want someone to think it's go and show and not even wait for it to be confirmed, and and things happen. Where would you like to add the note? It also tells you, do you want it at the beginning? Do you want it to be the first thing that the buyer agent sees? Or do you want it to be at the bottom? Because you can add other notes once you start entering, all your things in Paragon. That's one of the questions in it, like what, showing time instructions or showing instructions. Okay, so we're done with all these. Once you are set up here and everything is good where you like it, right? Also, just before we get out of this one and go to this part here, you can also upgrade.
That's what I was gonna ask you, why to say that.
Yeah, you can also upgrade. Showing time is not just something with CCAR. It's a separate service. Yes, a separate company, separate service, and they have more services for you. They actually have a service where they will control and take over your appointment setting altogether. You don't even have to worry about it. They'll call the listing agent, they'll call the buyer agent, they'll call the buyer and set everything up for you. For listings, that might be good, but a lot of people would have an assistant and everything's set up in here, so you don't need that. But for big companies, that may be a good thing. And they're also, when you upgrade, it's a 24/7. So you have a problem at midnight, you can actually call them and they have an 11-second answer time. So they would answer you in 11 seconds if you pay more. Alright, let's see here. So now we're going here, and so this is home. So when you're in here, you would probably be in here once or twice a week. 9 times out of 10, you're using this right here to see where your appointments are. Do you have anything confirmed or canceled or what have you? But if you're in here once a week, you can actually look and see, okay, what appointments do I have? What got confirmed? You know, and this is what is requested, you know, what is confirmed. So it gives you a little report, a little dashboard report. And it will show you here if there are any unread conversations between you and any other agents. Right here. So if you had some, you would click on it, it'll show you who they are. You can probably contact them and talk to them.
Wait a minute, let me go back, I'm sorry. You got there from,
So I just clicked on home.
okay,
And this
there we
is where
are.
it went. So this is basically, we went back to the first page.
Okay,
And when we went to our profile, we clicked here, edit profile.
right, okay, got it. Thank you.
Now you're welcome. Now we're gonna go to messages. Here is where you see all the conversations. And all the conversations are under a certain address. Okay, so you gotta kind of remember, okay, when was this? This was at 10 o'clock for 1300 Turnberry. And you would go in here and you can see all the text messages between you and that agent, for example, right? Same thing here. You would see all the, you know, all the things about that. See, and it tells you also feedback was requested. It doesn't say that feedback was received. So, but anyhow, it'll, you know, you can go through these, kind of find out what's going on with your listings, what's going on with, you know, other messages that you may have not seen yet. Showings. So this is your beautiful calendar here. This shows you everything. So I guess it is synced. I didn't think so. Like I said, I use that. I don't look anywhere else. But see this one here, you can actually go in and say, okay, I wanna know what's going on this week. Okay, what showings I had this week. I wanna know what's going on today, right? Or this month, for example, right? So you can see all these showings, you can see what, the yellow is basically what's requested but it's pending. Nothing happened to it, right? The red is the declined and the green is the, you know, good to go. And you can actually go, instead of just going to the calendar, you can go and see all my listings, making a request, or the ones that I have requested. So say for example, this one is all my listings. And once you sell the listing, or once you sell it, once it's sold on MLS, it's not gonna show up here anymore. But if it's still active or pending, it'll show you the history. So, and you also want to just make sure that you're in the right dates. So this, for example, is starting today until, you know, blank. But you can have it, you know, last 7 days, for example. And now you have all the showings that you've had on your listings, all that. So you can also make a new request here, but I will show you how it's easier. If you're already here and you have one of these sheets, I'll show you. So you have the MLS number, you have the sheet, you can just enter it here. And that's okay, you can enter it and say for example, we wanna see this one right here, 220-7-477. And let's say we wanna see another one too. Why doesn't it want to do it? Maybe it just allows just one, that's all it does. Okay, I guess this is just for one. So you can basically put the number in, click on it, and it will it'll give you the information. Max appointment length is 1 hour. So it'll tell you the listing agent allows you to be in there for just 1 hour. You can't be in there for longer, right? Does not accept appointment overlaps, right? So if your appointment is accepted, you're gonna be there by yourself. There's no one else is gonna be there, right? You have your information here. This is what the agent and also maybe the seller would see, depending on, you know, how much the seller, the listing agent wants to share with their sellers. I usually do because I want the homeowner to know who's been in their home. I have no problem doing that at all. And they'll also see your phone number as the buyer agent, for example, your email, your name.
Is that what you're saying, that that's the seller's phone number there? What did you just say?
So basically, so this is you. This is you as the buyer agent making an appointment. But what I was saying is that when you're the listing agent, you can choose for the information, my information as the buyer agent, to show up once an appointment is confirmed or even requested. So say for example, here's what it would look like. I'll show it to you. Okay, so I'll show it to you here. So say this one is confirmed, and it'll give you a link to all their information, but it'll also give you their phone number and name. So the seller will see this if you choose to as a listing agent,
Whose phone number and name?
the buyer agent.
Why would you wanna do that?
Why would I wanna do that? To me, I don't really worry about, you know, the homeowner knowing, because one, all our phone numbers are public, right? When I request an appointment with you, the listing agent will see who requested the appointment, right? So it's really just about, oh, you're hiding information from me, or whatever it is. I just like everything to be upfront and clear. I've never had a problem with it, and I think the more information you give upfront, the better, you know? And
Okay.
sellers can do it. You had a problem with a seller, didn't you?
Well, you know, doing it for so many years, yeah, you have problems, and I think it a lot of times, but we do things a little different, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, tell us your story. I'm curious.
I was gonna ask
You don't have to use names.
I was
but
going to
you
ask
know.
you what your concerns are, because
Yeah.
it would educate the rest of us.
Well, the concern would be, you know, if you have a seller that's a little bit underhanded and the contract was gonna end, they could contact the buyer directly themselves.
Oh,
And then there's that time frame in the exclusion area, even though it's
Okay.
there, but a side deal can be negotiated.
yeah. So this would be the agents, not the buyer himself or the seller
You know how many
himself.
times though?
But you're
Just
still
happened
sharing
last
buyer's
week.
information, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, not the buyer's information isn't here.
It
The buyer
happened-
agent.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, the buyer agent. Now,
I thought I mistakenly
no.
heard you.
Oh,
Now,
Now-
will the buyer's will the agent give their client the information? That's the other thing.
Well, here's my thing with that. When you put in an offer, the buyer name and the seller name are there.
Mhm.
Can the seller go ahead and research the guy's name? Can they pass by the house and talk to the neighbors, find out what they look like, who they are, and how many dogs they have?
There's nothing to stop them.
Yeah, I just did that.
But yeah, we'll never like put it on ShowingTime, like your buyer.
Oh, okay, now
Yeah,
I
yeah.
misunderstood you and I was like, wow, wait a second here, girl.
Yeah, no. So it'll show,
I have no problem with that at all, so sharing the
So-
agents,
yeah,
and I think they should know that.
yes.
Because they should know who's coming in their house.
Exactly.
All right, gotcha,
Exactly,
all
yes,
right.
that's what I
All
meant,
right,
so
I'm
this
so
is
sorry.
not
I
like it will
I
have.
didn't,
No,
I'm
that's
hearing
okay.
problems here.
No,
now.
But that's okay. It
And it'll
brought
also have a
clarification.
link.
Wow, yeah, no, that's really, that was good, that was clarified, I thought she was nuts.
No, they can
Sorry.
find that out
I
on
got
their
Tourette's,
own,
you
we
know,
don't need to
everything.
help them do it, right? You've seen that one before, right? You've seen that before, where it shows,
Yes,
you know, the,
Exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, that, I see what you're saying now,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
no
Thank you
problem.
for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so now all you gotta do is you can schedule a single showing. But say for example, I've already scheduled something for Mr. Smith, 3 homes that we are seeing back to back. And he calls me today and says, hey, I wanted to add this one for a showing Saturday. So you can literally just add it to it. And you would say, if you've saved it that way, I would hope that you guys would, and would say, okay, I want to add it to a showing cart. And then all your showing carts will show up here, right? And then you can say, okay, well, I want to add it to this door here. And now when it opens up, it's gonna give you a way to change the time, for example, if you wanted to. I don't know why it's doing that. That's the same place, isn't it? Oh, it opened the cart, I'm sorry. Okay, so it opens the cart for you, and it shows you all the appointments that you have already.
What did you click on to pull that up?
So, let's see, where was I? So, when we went to showing, make new request, right here, we put in the MLS number, and then we clicked the search button.
Okay.
And let's see if that took me. That'll take you here. And then you can schedule it as a single showing if it's a different buyer, or you can add it to a showing cart. Now, when I first started, I thought that if I enter the buyer's name here, then the listing agent's gonna see the buyer's name. No, they're not gonna see the buyer's name, so you can comfortably add it in here. This is just for your records. So let's just say we're adding it to a cart, and now the tour's working. If you don't see it here, then you don't have a tour set up, okay? And you can still schedule it as a new showing cart or as a single one, but just FYI. All right, so I clicked on that, and now, this one won't let me. This is supposed to say next or enter. So we click on that one. Now it's gonna show you everything that you put in. It's gonna show you your tour dates, your buyer name, description if you wanted to, you can add in there. You can add more listings here. The easiest way to do it is have the listing MLS number. If you don't have the listing MLS number, I'd rather go to Paragon, find that out, and then put it back in here.
Can you start off with multiple MLS numbers, like in back where you were starting your search? You separate them by a comma, I think?
Oh, if it's advanced search, you could. Okay, so that's through MLS, you mean? Through Paragon?
Through ShowingTime, you started off with
I
putting the
started off with
MLS
one.
number in the search, and I thought you were separating, like if you had 4 homes
So-
in back to back, you wanted to show.
Then you probably wanna do the advance. And you probably wanna do the advance and put in all the numbers with a comma in between it. Let's try it together and see. So let's do 220, 74, 77. And the second one, 220, 7756. So let's try these. Let's see if it finds that.
Would there be a space between the comma and your next?
Maybe. Thank you. Let's see. It wouldn't even, doesn't wanna do it.
Would it be a semicolon?
You think?
It's just a comma.
No, just a comma?
I don't even think you need the space, but I've never been able to get that to
Cause
work
I
there.
know that,
In here, you've never been able to do it?
No, I'm not that expertise at it, but, I've always had a problem only adding one at a time, and I don't know why it does that, but why it doesn't do the other.
It should, cause see here, it tells you
Right.
listing ID, comma,
Mhm.
space.
interesting.
So maybe we need to reach out, cause it should let
Yeah.
you. It should let you. The other way to do that is to do it from Paragon, which I'll show you once we get through this one.
Yeah, Paragon will let you do it.
Yeah.
One thing I like is once you get everything in there, it gives you a smart route.
Yes, that's what I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that a
that's
lot.
nice. Smart route.
That's very
Mhm.
nice.
And then what you can do is you can share it with your client.
Yes.
And you can share it in real time, meaning that if the appointment is canceled, they get that too.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Which is nice. Okay, where was I? So let's just try one because apparently they don't wanna do what we want them to do. And let's just say we're adding this one to a cart we already have. Say for example, you know, Mr. Smith has, you know, 4 homes that we scheduled for him for Saturday. And he just texts me and says, you know, I wanna see this one too, Saturday afternoon. So I wanna add it to a showing cart. Oh, you guys can't see that, can you?
No, I can't, I know I
You
can't
can't
see
see
it.
that.
I see it.
Okay.
Now,
Anyway,
okay. So this should be easier. Alright, so you can add it to a showing cart. Click here. Maybe. Please? Dad doesn't wanna do it.
Shouldn't have moved.
Alright.
Should have stayed right where you were.
It doesn't like me.
You messed up the antenna.
I know, right?
Oh, my God.
Oh, come on. No, it doesn't wanna do it. Alright, let me do it one more time, but I'm going to, oh, it's the computer. Okay. I don't know what's going on, hold on,
Class
give
is
me a
over.
minute. Okay. Showing time. Showing.
Yep.
Alright, I'm not sure why,
could be the network.
did I? No,
Sometimes
I
it
think
just does
it's,
that and,
Yeah.
That's wacky.
I think somehow it's the keyboard.
Is it stuck somewhere?
There's something is stuck. Or this. Alright, it's working now. Okay, showings. No, it's not. Uh-uh.
Oh, boy.
I don't know.
Basically, what you're gonna show us is you add add listings individually to
Yeah,
the
you
cart.
add all the listings.
And he was talking about, it shows you the smart route to get to them.